Personally, I wanted to, and I think that's the shared sentiment amongst most of my classmates, is that I wanted to open my results in private, maybe around some close friends, some family, but more or less not surrounded by 200 of my classmates, because there is always that possibility that you're not going to get the result that you wanted.
Hello everyone, my name is Henry and I'm a third-year medical student at the University of Alberta. Welcome to the Specialty Café, a podcast to help you, medical trainees, choose your perfect specialty. Today I am with Mr. Mark Garabedian, who is a fourth-year medical student at McGill University. Hi Mark.
Hey Henry, thanks for having me.
I've known you for over a year now through CFMS, and I've seen you grow so much as a leader. And now that you're going through the CaRMS process, it's just a privilege for me to be able to interview you today to see how you're feeling leading up to match day.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, obviously. And yeah, match, as I'm sure you've heard before, CaRMS is not necessarily an easy process. There's a lot of stress around it with the uncertainty. It determines a big portion of your career. And yeah, I'm happy to chat about anything. I'm pretty open about it. So any questions, I'm happy to share.
For our audience, can you share what is applying through CaRMS?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start with what CaRMS is for those, maybe in the junior medical years. So CaRMS is basically the match of how med students become residents. So it's basically a process that that matches med students from different medical schools across Canada into different specialty programs across the country as well. So and it's a pretty unbiased way of doing things. It's definitely favors the applicant, and applicants and programs are able to kind of submit rank lists, and then there's an algorithm that finds an optimal match. And like I said before, it really favors the applicant. So if I put school X above school Y, it doesn't decrease my chances of matching to school Y just because I put a program above it. So I think it's a really great system, and I've learned a lot about it throughout the process. So
if I may ask, what did you apply for?
I applied for orthopedic surgery.
Okay. And what inspired you to pursue orthopedics?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So, growing up, I played a lot of sports. I was, always really interested. I broke a lot of bones playing sports. So, naturally, one of the first physicians that I really encountered growing up was an orthopedic surgeon. And, seeing that process kind of interested me. So I thought that was kind of a natural path. And then, during my electives, I was really grateful to have a lot of great mentors, both in the clinical and research setting, and just kind of really spoke to me. I love the environment of the ortho team, very fast paced. Everybody there is, very collegial, and they come with a lot of laughter in the room. So even though it's, a little bit longer hours, still very much worth it in my opinion. So that's kind of why I chose to pursue it.
Okay. And from my understanding that you've completed all of your interviews now, right?
Yeah.
So how are you feeling right now post-interview?
So yeah, I think post-interview, there's kind of, I would say, 4 stages to the match. There's before you actually submit your applications. Then there's this period between when you submit your applications and your interviews. Then there's this, the third period is after interviews, before your rank. And then there's this last period, which I'm in right now, where I've submitted my rank list. Everything is done, fate is sealed, and you just kind of wait. So there's this period this year, it was about 2 weeks long, maybe 12 days, where, fate is sealed. You've submitted your rank list. Programs have submitted their rank list. Algorithm is working, and you find out on March 3rd.
March 3rd, okay. What are you doing to keep yourself and your mind busy?
Yeah, so LMCC is something that a lot of people write in their 4th year. Some people do it sooner than others. I'm doing it in April, so I'm just trying to do that. Me and my friends, we're going on a trip to Mont Tremblant. Again, it's a 5-day trip. Just again, we knew that this would be kind of a more hectic time in our minds. So just something to de-stress, go skiing for a bit. and take our mind off of, the inevitable match.
Okay. So you mentioned like these four stages. What has been like the most emotionally challenging part so far?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think probably the rank between interviews and the rank list,
Okay.
because at that point, everything like um, you've done, the bulk of the work. You've written your applications, you've gone through the interview process. You've impressed as much as you can, and the past 4 years of work, and now it's just time. What am I going to put? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel like there's a lot of ways to prepare for submitting your applications. There's a lot of ways to prepare for your interviews. If you're not 100% sure about your rank order list, there's not really many ways to prepare for that. You can make a pros and cons list. You can, rank different aspects of different specialty or different programs and different specialties if you're applying to multiple, to kind of try to help figure out where you're going to put each program. But at the end of the day, it's a really subjective thing, and I feel like it's a very personal decision that has a lot of repercussions. So it's no longer about like trying really hard. I'm trying really hard to write this really good personal statement. I'm trying really hard to speak coherently in my interviews. It's more just it's not about trying anymore. It's just about putting some things in an order, and it's going to determine your future, kind of thing.
Okay. As someone who's gonna go through CARMS next year, are the interviews kind of like similar when you apply to medical school, or are they much different?
I think they're much different in the sense that they're a lot more personal than medical school. I think, medical school, they're interviewing because, like, let's say the school has 200 spots. They're interviewing like 500 people. There's not necessarily a social, or there's not like, you're not really going to know the people who are interviewing you. In CARMS, there's a social. Almost everyone in my programs had a social the night before the interview, where I would hear from the program director, I'd hear from the residents. They would see me. I would have the opportunity to ask like one-on-one questions, maybe not one-on-one in the same room, but I would have the opportunity to ask questions in like a group of 8 to 10 applicants with like 3 or 4 residents. So the ratio is a lot smaller. There was a lot more, I was finding there was a lot more like personal time with the program itself. And then I would go into the interview the next day. They would know my name. They would know my CV. They would know a lot about me, because, they're not interviewing 500 people like they are in medical school, or for medical school admissions, they're interviewing like 40 of them. So it's a lot more manageable from kind of a scale perspective.
Okay. And now that you're like nearing the end of medical school, looking back to when you started first year of med school, what kind of changes have you seen in yourself?
Yeah, I think, working in a clinical setting obviously shapes your mindset and shapes how you, tackle different problems, whether it be in your personal life, in interviews. I think I have like a natural algorithm that works in my head now, like a lot of medical trainees do. So like, even, when I get asked a question about my favorite sport, let's say, I am automatically going through like a differential diagnosis in my head. Okay, no, it's not tennis. No, it's not basketball. No, it's not baseball. It's hockey. And like, it's just kind of helped me kind of frame my mindset. I think I'm also, more mature in general. I'm a lot more comfortable with difficult conversations, for example, a lot more comfortable with kind of reflecting and more introspective stuff through different courses that, medical curriculums give us nowadays. So I think, I'm just able to reflect better. I think that's definitely come out in my interviews. There's a lot of introspection and retrospection that they encourage. They'll ask you about a time that you had a difficult conversation with a patient and what that looked like. And, you're going to prepare answers for certain things, but I think you've got to be able to think on the spot. And my medical training's definitely kind of helped me gain that skill.
Okay. What do you think you will miss most about medical school?
Ooh. I think something that I will miss, definitely, there's a lot more free time in medical school than residency. Again, I don't have the first-hand experience just yet, but I think, I'm able to go to the gym. I'm able to, go out for a dinner with friends. Residency time is going to be more constrained. I think you're gonna be on call. You're gonna have family commitments. Obviously, another thing that comes with residency is you're gonna be aging. A lot of people want to start families. you're not necessarily a student anymore, even though you're still a learner. So I think that kind of that's something that I'm definitely gonna miss. I'm gonna miss a little bit more of the freedom that you have. Although, residency can definitely make the most of it. As I've heard from a lot of the mentors that we have on the podcast and other residents that I know. I think it's definitely the free time that I'm gonna miss the most.
Free time? Okay. What are you looking forward to as you begin like the next phase of your training?
I think taking on responsibility in the care team is definitely something that's definitely looking forward to. As a medical student, given your level of knowledge, there's only so much that you can do. Like you can't necessarily prescribe, you can't necessarily take pages or hold or do certain procedures in the OR. But as a resident, you're trusted more and more with certain things. I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to be able to, be the one that has difficult conversations and be, that compassionate ear for patients. Because I think, just as much as the medical knowledge comes with residency and, you're going to gain that medical knowledge, I think the softer skills is what I'm really looking forward to, being able to communicate with patients. And that's something that I've definitely seen myself grow throughout medical school.
Okay. I know that during CaRMS process, you can be like busy with like writing applications and preparing for interviews. So you might not be doing like a lot of like self-care activities. How do you think like it's affected like that aspect of your life?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of my not regrets, but something, if I could go back, I think I would definitely focus a little bit more on, the wellness perspective. I was doing one of my orthopedic electives while CaRMS was due. And I think that, the added stress of, being in a rotation that mattered a lot for me. And having, CaRMS always in the back of my mind while I'm seeing a patient, while I'm talking, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, okay, I got to do this essay tonight. I have to finish up my CV. I have to message this staff because they still haven't submitted their reference letter, just a bunch of things that are always going on in the back of your mind. And, it was definitely a stressful time. And I think a lot of people kind of told me, this is going to be a difficult time, find some ways to cope. And I think something that really worked for me was meditation.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily free to go to the gym for an hour and a half a day. But I think, sitting down 10 minutes a day, meditating, just taking that time to myself, downloaded an app. It's pretty easy. I didn't really have to, think about it or look too hard for a good resource for myself. I think that definitely helped me stay grounded, helped me stay focused, helped me kind of get through that, more difficult time in my life, come out on the other side.
Are there things that you would have like done differently before you submitted your application?
I would say definitely do it sooner, start sooner. I'm sure, I was warned about this again from many people. Start really soon. Start like in the summer between your third and fourth year, or between like the summer before your last year. And I took that advice, but I didn't take it too seriously. And then I ended up submitting my applications maybe like half an hour before they were due.
Okay.
So, I think that added to the stress, and that's something that I would definitely recommend. Get the applications done early, get people to read them. I think that's another thing that's, I'm happy that I did. I got, residents that I knew, my friends in my class that I trusted, like people to really give me good feedback on those applications, because I think they do matter. I think, your writing style matters, the content that you say in your personal letters matters, your CV matters. I think all these things matter. And having only your eyes to look at it isn't necessarily the most beneficial way. There's people that might point out things that you kind of missed. So I think it's really important to start early, get people to look at it, give people sufficient time, because residents are busy too. The resident that you worked on service with, they might not be able to, if you give it to them 3 days before the deadline, they might not necessarily be able to. So that's all the more reason to kind of get it done early.
Okay. And how difficult was it for you to like secure the electives that you needed for like your specialty?
Yeah, it's a good question. So this year, there's a new electives model in Canada through the away electives model through the AFMC, and I think it was a lot better than the previous model given what I knew about it. You only have to pay when you secure an elective. That being said, I think because you only have to pay a fee once you secure an elective, that it's people are a little bit more liberal when they're applying to electives, which means that people are not necessarily applying to only the ones that they want to go to. They're applying to a few backups and applying to this one. Maybe I'm kind of interested in it. I'll throw in an application, and why not? It's free. So with that, makes it more difficult to secure a specific elective if you really wanted it. So, for example, there was a school I really wanted to do an ortho elective at, didn't get it, so I had to kind of go with another school as a backup option. And so I think it's doable. I still got 3 out of my 4 chalk choices that I wanted to do an elective at, but I think if you really want to maximize your chances, plan ahead, because then you can say, okay, if I don't get this elective this week, then I can do it the next 2 weeks, and then I can apply for it the next 2 weeks, and you kind of just maximize your opportunity. So always kind of have a backup plan for your elective plannings, because I think it's not necessarily, if you want a really, really specific program, it's not so easy to get it.
Do you have like any advice for other applicants who are waiting for the news?
I got advice from residents, saying just do something to take your mind off. I know LMCC is in the back of your mind. I know, obviously the match is in the front of your mind probably. But, like I said, I'm going to Montreal Blanc with a couple buddies, and I think, it's going to be a fun weekend, a fun way to de-stress. And someone that, you share those commonalities are friends from my med school class. So these are guys that I kind of share some common, stressors with right now. And I think it's just going to be a fun weekend to take our mind off of things. So I like to, go away, do those little weekend trips. But for someone else, it might be going to the gym every day. For someone else, it might be taking a cooking class, or jumping on the ice and playing hockey. Like, people have different ways of coping. So I think just not letting it be the only thing that's on your mind, because again, we're people outside of medicine, and I think that now is especially important to realize that before you jump into this kind of big undertaking that is residency.
Yeah, I really like that. Like, you're trying to say, like, try to take things off your mind, because it's like out of your control now. Like you said, like, your fate has been sealed. You have like no power over anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's very insightful. I know that with match day, some applicants might hear the news that they wanted and some might not. What are you doing to like mentally prepare for like the unexpected outcome?
Yeah, so personally, and we kind of had a vote within our class whether we wanted to do a big event starting before the results came out or afterwards. And personally, I wanted to, and I think that's a shared sentiment amongst most of my classmates, is that I wanted to open my results in private, maybe around some close friends, some family, but more or less not surrounded by 200 of my classmates, because there is always that possibility that you're not going to get the result that you wanted. I think there's also a great kind of buffer in place through the CaRMS portal, where you can opt to receive an unmatched result the night before. So at 6 p.m. on March 2nd, for example, if you get an email from your faculty saying that you went unmatched, that's kind of, I don't want to say softens the blow, but you're not expecting to get a match result and then all of a sudden it's unmatched. It kind of gives you a little bit of time to self-reflect and kind of just take it in, versus and if you don't get an email at 6 p.m. on March 2nd, then that means you have matched.
Okay.
So, but overall, I think just to mentally prepare for it, understanding that it's a possibility, understanding that you don't necessarily have to plan for it right now. Like, I don't think going out and applying for a job or like new clerkship electives next year or anything like that is something that I'm doing necessarily. But I think it's always a possibility, and just again, not making plans to move to city X because that's where I'm going to do my residency. But just being really flexible and fluid until you actually get that result is something that I've just tried to incorporate.
Do you have like a backup plan if you like get the outcome that you didn't like necessarily expect for?
I haven't thought about it too much, to be completely honest, but I do know, my homeschool McGill has a bunch of resources. They have support groups for students who went unmatched. They have a support group for students who didn't get their first choice match or got an unexpected result match. I know that there's resources like through the CFMS, they will cover the $150 fee for the second iteration application. There's like an enormous amount of resources. So I think regardless of the outcome, if you match, great. If not, there's a bunch of resources that are there to support you. There's people who have gone through it before. There's like an unmatched mentorship program where applicants who have previously been unmatched you'll be buddied up with them and they're there to support you. So I think there's all these kind of layers of support that are integrated into the system to help support those unmatched applicants, because it is a tough thing to see, and I think it very much warrants that added support.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing all of your advice and thoughts regarding the upcoming match process. And thank you so much to the audience for tuning in to Specialty Café, a Royal College podcast. If you are in a Royal College residency program, don't forget to join as a resident affiliate. It's free, and you can get a head start on claiming some lifelong learning credits.